Maya checked her watch nervously as she knocked on the door of the presidential suite. 10:47 p.m. She'd been trying to reach Mr. Ashton for hours about the merger documents that needed his signature before tomorrow's board meeting. The hallway of the five-star Grandeur Hotel was eerily quiet. Her modest room on the third floor seemed like a different world compared to this, the top floor, where executives stayed, where luxury wasn't just a word but a lifestyle. When no one answered, she used the emergency key card he'd given her for urgent matters. Just this once, she muttered to herself, pushing open the heavy door. The suite took her breath away. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over marble floors. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city. Thousands of lights, twinkling like fallen stars. The furniture looked like it belonged in a palace, not a hotel room. "Mr. Ashton?" she called out softly. Silence. A note on the glass coffee table caught her eye. "Emergency meeting downstairs. Wait here, back in 30 minutes. Ashton." Maya glanced at her phone. The note was time-stamped 2 hours ago. She sat carefully on the edge of the enormous bed, her fingers sinking into silk sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The merger documents felt heavy in her lap. 3 weeks of non-stop work, 18-hour days, skipped meals, and sleepless nights all culminating in these papers. Her eyes began to drift closed. Just for a minute, she told herself. But exhaustion was a powerful enemy. Her body, pushed beyond its limits for weeks, simply surrendered. The document slipped from her hands onto the nightstand as she curled onto her side. She'd changed into her nightgown hours ago, after spilling coffee on her blouse. Short blue silk piece that seemed perfectly modest in her own room, but now, sprawled across her boss's luxurious bed, felt dangerously inappropriate. The city lights blurred into dreams. The sound of the door opening cut through her consciousness like a knife. Maya's eyes flew open. For a disorienting moment, she didn't know where she was. Then reality crashed down. Marcus Ashton stood frozen in the doorway, his hand still gripping the handle. His tailored charcoal suit jacket hung over one arm. His tie was loosened, top button undone, small signs of exhaustion on a man who always looked impeccable. His dark hair, usually perfectly styled, fell slightly across his forehead. But it was his expression that made her heart stop. Not anger, not even surprise. Something far more complex flickered in those gray eyes. Concern, confusion, and something else she couldn't name. "Mr. Ashton." Maya scrambled upright, her hands frantically pulling at the hem of her nightgown, while her cheeks burned crimson. "I'm so sorry. I came to get your signature and your note said to wait, and I was just so tired from the merger work, and I didn't mean to fall asleep. Especially not on your bed. This is completely unprofessional and—" "Maya." His voice cut through her rambling, quiet but commanding, in that way that made boardrooms fall silent. "Breathe," she obeyed, drawing in a shaky breath that didn't quite fill her lungs. He closed the door with a soft click that seemed to echo in the vast suite. Setting down his jacket with deliberate care, he moved to the minibar. Crystal clinked against crystal as he poured 2 glasses of amber liquid. He walked toward her, each step measured, and offered her 1 glass while maintaining a respectful distance, sitting in the leather armchair across from the bed rather than beside her. That small gesture of propriety helped slow her racing heart. "I don't drink," she whispered, staring at the scotch. "Tonight you do. Just a sip. For the nerves." Her hands trembled as she accepted the glass. The liquid burned her throat but spread warmth through her chest, melting some of the panic. Ashton leaned back in the chair, one ankle crossed over his knee, studying her with an intensity that made her feel simultaneously exposed and seen. "How long have you worked for me, Maya?" The question caught her off guard. 2 years and 3 months. "And in that time, how many vacations have you taken?" She blinked. None. "But Mr. Ashton, the company needed. How many times have you worked through illness? Through holidays? Through family events? That's not relevant to. How many dinners have you missed?" His voice grew quieter, more intense. "How many birthdays? How many moments of your actual life have you sacrificed for Ashton Enterprises? For me?" Maya's throat tightened. The scotch glass felt slippery in her damp palms. "It's my job. I knew what I was signing up for when I became your executive assistant." "No." He set his glass down with a soft thud, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. The city lights behind him created a halo effect, making him look almost otherworldly. Your job is to manage my schedule, coordinate meetings, handle communications. Your job is not to destroy yourself. Your job is not to become a ghost who lives in the office. I don't understand what you're trying to say. He was silent for a long moment, his jaw working as if wrestling with words. Finally, the merger is done, Maya. It was finalized this afternoon at 3 p.m. She stared at him, certain she'd misheard. But you said there were issues with the European contracts. You said we needed to review. I lied. The words hung in the air like a confession. There was no emergency meeting downstairs. I've been sitting in the hotel bar for the past 2 hours, drinking bad coffee, trying to figure out how to tell you the truth. Maya felt like the room was tilting. What truth? Ashton stood abruptly, walking to the massive windows. He stood with his back to her, one hand pressed against the glass, his reflection ghostly in the night-darkened window. Do you know when I first noticed you, Maya? Really noticed you, I mean beyond your excellent work? She couldn't speak, could only shake her head even though he wasn't looking at her. It was 14 months ago. We were preparing for the Japanese acquisition. It was 2 a.m. and I found you asleep at your desk, your head on a pile of contracts. You were clutching a red pen like a weapon, and I thought, this woman is killing herself for my success, for my company, for my dreams. He turned to face her, and in the dim light, his expression was raw in a way she'd never seen from the composed, controlled Marcus Ashton. I started paying attention after that. Really paying attention. I noticed how you remembered everyone's birthdays but never mentioned your own. How you knew exactly how I liked my coffee, but never took a break to drink yours. How you could anticipate my needs in a meeting before I even knew what they were. That's my job, she whispered. And I noticed, he continued as if she hadn't spoken, that every decision I made, I wanted your opinion on it. Every success felt hollow if you weren't there to share it. Every morning. The best part of my day was when you walked through my office door with that determined expression and your ridiculous organizational binders. Maya's heart was thundering so loudly she was certain he could hear it across the room. 6 months ago, I realized something that terrified me. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of vulnerability she'd never witnessed from him. I realized I was in love with my assistant, with the woman who I couldn't fire because the company would collapse, with someone who trusted me as her employer, her boss, someone with power over her career and livelihood. The glass slipped from Maya's nerveless fingers, landing softly on the plush carpet without breaking. So I decided to wait, he said, his voice strained. To find the right moment, to create distance between the professional and personal. But then this merger happened, and I watched you work yourself to exhaustion, and I realized I was part of the problem. I was the boss who let his assistant destroy herself. I was no better than the system I claimed to hate. Marcus, she breathed, using his first name for the first time ever, not even realizing she'd done it. His eyes darkened at the sound. He took a step toward her, then stopped himself. You deserve better than this, Maya. Better than a boss who's too much of a coward to tell you the truth. Better than a job that consumes your entire existence. Better than a man who falls in love with you but does nothing about it because he's afraid of the complications. She stood from the bed, her legs unsteady but her mind suddenly crystallinely clear. And what if I don't want better? He froze. What if I want this? She took a step toward him. What if I want the complications? Maya, you're exhausted. You're vulnerable right now. I won't take advantage of. I'm not vulnerable. I'm awake. Another step. For the first time in 2 years, I'm completely fully awake. You don't know what you're saying. Don't I? She was close enough now to see the pulse jumping in his throat. Do you want to know why I work so hard, Marcus? Why I never take vacations? Why I'm always there, always available, always ready? He was barely breathing. Because every moment away from you feels like wasted time. Because your rare smiles make 18-hour days worthwhile. Because I fell in love with you somewhere between the 3rd contract negotiation and the 20th business dinner, and I've been trying desperately to hide it, to be professional, to not be that cliché of an assistant falling for her boss. The confession hung between them like a bridge, terrifying and necessary. Say that again, he whispered, his control visibly fraying. I love you. God, Maya. His hand came up to cup her face with a gentleness that made her knees weak. His thumb traced her cheekbone with reverent care. Do you have any idea how long I've wanted to hear those words? Then why are you still just standing there? A smile, a real smile. Not the professional mask he wore for clients and board members, transformed his face. Because once I kiss you, everything changes. Your job, our relationship, the power dynamic. I need you to be absolutely certain this is what you want. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. His lips met hers softly at first, questioningly, giving her every chance to pull away. When she responded instead by pressing closer, her fingers tangling in his hair, his restraint shattered. His arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her against him as the kiss deepened. 2 years of suppressed longing, unspoken feelings, and professional boundaries poured into that single moment. Her back pressed against the wall beside the window. The city lights witnessed to their confession. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers, his hands still cradling her face like something precious. We're doing this right, he said firmly, even as his voice shook slightly. Tomorrow morning, we're filing paperwork to transfer you to a different department. Same pay, actually better pay, better title. You'll no longer report to me directly. Maya laughed, the sound light and free in a way she hadn't felt in months. Very professional of you. I'm serious. His gray eyes were intense. I won't have anyone questioning your integrity or implying you slept your way to success. You've earned everything you have through talent and dedication. I won't let our relationship diminish that. And tonight? He pressed a kiss to her forehead, lingering there. Tonight I'm sleeping on that very expensive couch in the living room, and you're getting the sleep you desperately need in this bed. Marcus, I've waited 2 years, Maya. I can wait one more night to do this properly. He stepped back, putting professional distance between them even as his eyes promised everything. But tomorrow and every day after that, you're mine, if you'll have me. She smiled, her heart feeling lighter than it had in years. I'll have you. He held her gaze for a long moment, neither wanting to break the spell. Finally, with visible reluctance, he moved toward the door to the living area. Marcus, she called softly. He turned, hand on the doorframe. Thank you for seeing me, not just as an assistant, but as me. His expression melted into something so tender it made her chest ache. Maya, I've always seen you. That was the problem. That's always been the problem. The door closed softly between them, but for the first time, the separation didn't feel like a barrier. It felt like a promise. One night of patience before everything changed. Maya crawled under the silk sheets, her smile refusing to fade. Outside, she could hear Marcus settling onto the couch, his presence a comfort even through the wall. For the first time in months, she slept deeply, peacefully, without nightmares of missed deadlines or unfinished work. And when morning came with its golden light spilling through those magnificent windows, everything did change. But this time, change felt exactly like what she'd been waiting for all along.